And we are live. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Poetry is My Tea show. I'm happy to host you here, sir. No. And it's a privilege for
Okay.
me to accept you. I do appreciate it. I not take this opportunity for granted. Thank you so much, sir. I do
Ah,
appreciate
thank you. I should be the one thanking you for having me.
it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't know if I know how to pronounce your name well. Oko Owi Ocho Afrika. Am I pronouncing it well? Okay.
Well, it's close. We can do with that.
All right. All right. Thank you, sir. Today, Poetry is my tissue. Have you as the first guest who have launched this program for us. You are the first person. So I'm very happy to have you. I trust you. I believe you. That today you come and share your writing experience with us so that this will promote this African poetry and writing global and also raise other writers who are seeing new beings in this industry. Some they don't know to they need to hear stories of people like you who have started from scratch. So they will know that the mistake that you guys have made or the things that you guys have come across, they don't have to go through it. But when they have watched video like this, they'll be encouraged to have passion more for writing. But that's one of the things that will make you be a good writer. When you have passion for writing and you're obsessed with writing, then you become a good writer. You write consistently. Okay, so today the story of how you found poetry is what we want to hear on this Poetry is My Tea show. That was I said should bring you. But before we go in details, I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience because YouTube have 10 plus downloads. So these are the users of YouTube. So because anybody can come across this video, depending on the algorithm, anybody can just see this video and like, okay, I don't know this person. So I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience. Thank you, sir.
Um, Basically, my name is Oko Owi Ocho Afrika. I studied English and literature. I'm a poet, and of course, I love the idea of literary criticism. So basically, that's all I can say about myself.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so sir, how do we start now? I want you to share your writing experience. How you started from scratch. How did you find poetry?
Mm, I started writing poetry when I was in secondary school. But of course, some people might feel it's a bit late because there are people who started in, say, maybe primary school and all of that. But I was already in SS1. Um, we had a literature class where AJ Dagatola came to teach. So I read Popo Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So he liked the way I read, and he was going for a book launch that he took me. So basically, I just went there and I was inspired because it was a 7-year-old boy that was publishing or launching rather 3 books. So I just felt like, wow, I was already 17 or so. So what have I been doing and all of that? So I just had that motivation. And of course, Daga was there to give me books, encourage me, read the poems, and instruct me on possible ways I could actually make it better. Yeah, so that's how I started writing poetry. And of course, too, I must add that because should I say I was a shy person or because I am a shy person, I always had issues having to express myself. So I started doing it through poetry, and it was good. And of course, that for me became the beginning of the journey.
Okay, you said something about Daga. Was Daga your literature teacher in school? Was he a teacher in school or just came to teach? Maybe he's a part-time teacher or something. Is he a teacher
Yeah,
in school?
He's my literature teacher and also history. And of course, I'm using is now because till date, he still fills that position of being my teacher. Yeah,
It's just like it's the person that helped you found your voice. Wow.
exactly.
Hmm. I know many people, but before we even continue, what do you define poetry as? Because I know now people have their own definition for poetry. It means different things to different people.
I think that's a bit tricky because I mean over centuries people haven't really been able to define poetry. So I would say poetry is that writing that is neither prose nor drama, and it has all the, of course, formal uh, devices and intricacies of poetry as we know it. Mm.
Okay. When you were starting as a, should I call you a novice or a newbie in the journey of, or let's say in the journey of poetry, what were your challenges? What were you struggling to learn when you were starting?
Like most people, it was mainly the issue of finding my voice. You know, writing something that is original. Because I don't know for others, but for me, I started out by imitating. So I would look at Dagger's poetry and try to model mine after his. Then look at the writing of some people and also model my writing after this. But of course, I didn't need to cling on to that kind of imitation for long. So there was the question of finding my voice. Mm. Then I had opportunity that most people wouldn't have, because for some people their challenges probably might have been to get literature books, but because Daga was there, I had access to books, you know, and all of that. Yeah.
All right. So, when was the first time you wrote your poem? Like your first poem? When did you write your first poem? How was your first poem?
Okay, I think I wrote my first poem late 2011. Yeah, late 2011. I mean around October, November, thereabouts. You know, so and what I wrote, how was it like? I think it was fine because I still remember the lines till date. One of the poem was something like chasing ghost on a wet Monday morning, not willing to feel the flame of passion, to have a bit of fun in light-hearted. Your passion is a wet morning in a leaky tent. You know, so something like that. Yeah.
So when you wrote your first poem, how did you feel? How did you feel? You know that's the excitement, like so I wrote a poem at last. How did you feel? Oh, the network has. Hmm. Let's hold on a sec. Let's see if we're back. I'm enjoying this show. Like, please comment where you're watching from. I'll bring your comment up on the screen. Let me see. Oh, today's we are talking about how, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mr. Oko Owi Ocho Afrika found poetry. If you're watching me now, please comment where you're watching from. I'd like to know you. I think he's having a bit, maybe it's a network issue. Okay, he's back, he's back. Let me bring him up. Okay,
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you. It's Nigeria, don't mind our network.
So, yeah, there was a breaking network. Okay,
All right,
so yes, we're talking about how I felt when I wrote my first poem.
yes, yes,
I
yes.
think it was very interesting. I was excited, like every other person, you know. Wow, I've written my first poem, and I remember, I even rushed to Daga, and I was like, oh, look at what I've written. That kind of happiness that every other person feel like, wow, I'm finally a writer
It's just like you
and
gave
all
birth
of
to a
that.
new
So
child.
exactly. So the
When a
excitement
woman give birth, your
was
husband will be excited.
immense.
Everybody will be like, hey, this child will come this world at last.
Yes, sir.
So, I could remember my own experience too. So, now when you were starting out, you said you were in school, in your secondary school days, that was when you wrote your poem, your first poem. So, in your class, how do people now treat you? Since you've been a poet now, you see yourself as a poet. How do people treat you? Do they see you like somebody who is important in their own circle, maybe in classroom or school facility?
Sorry, the network is breaking. I didn't get that question.
You didn't get my question. Okay, I said since you wrote your first poem, I know when the time you wrote your
Yeah.
first poem, you were so excited. You want to show people, you want to show friends, parents, or anybody that's very close to you. So that time, how do people treat you? How do they, there's a way they treat some writers or poets. They see them like, so I don't know your own experience. Everybody have their own experience. How do people treat you when you wrote the first poem? When you began to show them that you're a poet, your classmates and your school, everybody, how did they treat you then?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me
Hello.
too? I'm with you, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You were saying the feeling of
How
people
people treated you.
around me when
Yeah.
I wrote my
Yes.
first
Concerning
poem.
what you are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of a celebratory one. Because of course I had seniors who were already following Dagger's footstep, taking the whole writing thing serious. But I think in my class then, I was the first person to start writing poetry. I think when I wrote, I was in SS1, SS1B. So I was the first person in SS1B who actually told that line. And I mean, like, wow, amazing. Look at what Ocho has written. This is beautiful. And also the fact that Daga started taking me out for literary events and all of that. So it was a big thing. And of course, subsequently, because of the celebration that comes with it and all of that, every other person started going into the same process, and before you know it, we became a community, and an interesting community at that, because every other person keeps working hard enough to be able every other person keep working to be able to write something of interest and all of that. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Since yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that guy have been a blessing to you from day one.
Of course.
Imagine if you've not met
Hmm.
him. Would you be a poet today? Will you ever be a poet if you've not met him?
If I'd not met Daga, would I have been a poet? Well, I wouldn't know since I did not meet him, so I wouldn't know. Uh, but of course, if it was meeting Daga that actually created the idea of becoming a poet for me. So and there was a way he introduced me to books, reading, and all of that. So I think I probably might have become something else because at some point I always wanted to express myself through art, through acting, through music, and all of that. But for poetry specifically, it was Daga it was Daga that drove me to that line.
Okay, fine, fine. Can you still hear me, sir?
Hello.
I'm with you. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear you, but the network is still fluctuating. Some point you freeze and all of that.
Oh, okay, no problem. But can you hear me better now? Is it okay now? Hello? Network. Oh, thank you, that. Please, if you're watching now, please tell us where you're watching from. I'd like to know where you're watching me from. And thank you for watching. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, and share. Let me see if I can bring him up again. Don't know. But hello, sir. Okay, welcome back, sir. Network is really giving problem.
Yeah,
All right,
thank
let me
you.
see. Okay, network is horrible. I see. Okay, so sir, for how long have you been writing poetry now? You said it started about 2000 and I think 2011 to now, right?
Hello.
I'm with you, sir. Can you hear me? I'm with you. I can hear you.
I can hear you, but your voice is breaking. You said,
Okay, I said for how long have you been writing poems now? Since 2011 to now, right?
yeah.
Okay, what have poetry been able to has been able to help you achieve so far? Poetry, what has it been able to help you achieve so far?
Lot of things. The first thing is personality. Poetry actually built my personality. Um, the person I thought I was, I discovered that I can actually be far greater and better than that person. Relationship, poetry has built my relationship. I've met people that ordinarily I might not have had the opportunity of meeting. Several of them for a very long time. I've actually been like surviving from the returns that poetry brings. Most especially when you are in a country like us where we believe that art cannot put food on your table. I think it's actually a big thing when poetry has actually been feeding you. So at several points, I would say poetry has actually done a lot in my life.
All right, thank you. Um, have you seen a program online? Benue Poetry Troupe. Benue Poetry Troupe. What's all about that Benue Poetry Troupe? Are you the founder of Benue Poetry Troupe? I know you're from Benue, right? And you've been doing these events
Yeah,
for this now. Can
yeah,
you?
yeah. I'm the founder and creative director.
Uh, wow. And I've also seen something like African Rights. African Rights. You're also the founder of African Rights.
Yes,
So
yes,
what is the difference between African Rights
yes.
and Benue Poetry Troupe?
Well, Benue Poetry Troupe is actually an initiative under Africa Writes. So it's the performance arm of Africa Writes. Africa Writes is more or less a body that is generally concerned with research, criticism, uh, branding of literary events and organization and all of that. But of course, we're also into performance. So Benue Poetry Troupe is one of the arms of the performance session of Africa Writes. Because we also have the foundation troupe, which is also for it's a troupe for secondary school students who will eventually grow from secondary school and join the bigger body of the larger troupe.
So how did it come about the idea of creating such an initiative? But that thing is broad, like big. The thing has been there. I saw Olusegun there. I've seen some amazing writer there. How were you able to organize this thing? And you build it up. You just executed the ideas. How were you able to do this?
The one that Wale Soyinka came, he was hosted by the Benue State government, and the troupe, Benue Poetry Troupe, were invited to come and perform. But of course, Africa Writes has organized several events where we have different guest speakers. We've had the special assistant to the governor. We've had the former HOD of Department of English from Benue State University, and of course, we've also had an aspirant for the office of the governorship in Benue as our guest speaker at different points and all of that. So how I came about the idea, well, I don't know. Just like every other initiative that comes to every other person, the idea when the time is ripe for an idea, it brings itself up. That's what I think.
You're right about this. You're right about this. Just like this purchase myself, I've had this idea for long. But the time just came, just cut it like this down. And now I just executed the idea. And look at what I'm doing now. I'm hosting stars. And this is the first star. I have other stars that like now I have Star Iriata, Gracino, DK, Chukwumiri, all these people I will have them here. They'll come for purchase my
Definitely,
tissue. I'm
definitely.
very sure. So you are right about that. Okay, thank you, sir. Um, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So now, in our society, like I said before, in Nigeria, many parents see writers as lazy people who don't have work, they are jobless. If a child will say, I want to be a writer, say, come on, stop that, and I'm going to send it to school. I'm going to send it to school, come become a writer. I'm not send it to the school. Parents to know
Mm.
support your dream of becoming a writer. So what do you think about this mentality, this thing that people always say that writers are lazy people, writers are poor people, they cannot make money, they are this, they are that. What do you think about that? What do you have to say about those stuff that is trending every time?
Mm. I think the stereotype, it's a stereotype, and it's actually changing. Because more than ever, we are creating a new narrative. We are changing the narrative. For instance, my parents have more or less celebrated my whole process from appearing on TV, appearing on newspaper, and also not having to call them every time to send me money because I mean the art is also paying off. So and okay, look at for instance, there was the spoken word show sponsored by La Casera recently. where the first prize won 1 million, second prize 500,000, and third
Yeah,
prize three
7 days
hundred
Summit
thousand.
and Love It.
Yes, Love It, Liberty, and the Frost guy. So with this kind of initiatives coming up, parents can no longer say that the art is no longer paying and their children shouldn't engage in it. So of course, at the time, art wasn't really paying, but now I think those things are changing, and our parents are also learning. And sometimes too, it's not even just about the money; it's about the fulfillment. It's about the name. I mean, more than everything else, a good
The
name.
legacy is
You
even
know,
important. The legacy.
yeah, yes. So the name you're going to leave, the name you're going to create. So I think it's very important, and our parents too are beginning to learn from this, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Most of the poems you've written, what inspired those poems? Like now, I know some people that will say, whenever I'm sad, that's when I got inspiration to write. Some when I'm happy. But most of the poems I always see is poems of people who are sad, depressed. People, you understand. So, what are the things that inspire your poems to
Several
make you write?
things. Several things inspire my poem. And of course, starting from pain, pain inspire me, happiness, joy inspires me. Other people's pain, other people's anguish. Sometimes I'm walking on the street. Found poetry, there is found poetry. So the poetry brings itself and all of this. So these are the different kind of inspiration, and most importantly, reading too. Reading too is also important. You read, you get idea from your you get idea from reading, and of course it helps you to also produce your own kind of writing also.
Good. Now, let's go to your new book. The book I saw. What is that of your new book again?
We will sing water.
We will sing water. Well, like even
Yeah.
when I saw it, I was like, we will sing water. What is we will sing water? So, what is that book all about, sir? Is it a collection of poems, and what are the kind of things that are written inside? So, I want to know. I would like you to tell us about that book and what inspired you to write
um,
that book.
well, it's a chapbook of poetry, and of course different themes, but the most prominent is the question of identity. As a young person, as an African, asking the big question: what where am I going? you know what's the idea of being an African, and how does it affect my world view, most especially in the 21st century, where we have questions of globalization more than ever, expanding and all of that. So we need to ask the very crucial and critical question of where is our space? Will a time come that people will not be able to align with the identity of Africanism and all of that? So that's the major is inspiration for the chapbook.
Okay, so I now get the point. So, we will sing water. What does that symbolize? We will sing water.
Water for me, I've always liked water for its fluidity. Water is fluid. Uh, you you can't live without water, and importantly, the metaphor of water is also used in the sense of the translocational expression. You know, there are some poems in the chapbook where you get to see the idea of slave ship and how it is used in the modern context. Then you also get to see that return that happens through water. So someone passes through water to look for his home. So those kind of metaphors.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, sir. So, how much is your book selling for? In case if anybody would like to get the book, can your book be delivered anywhere in this country, Nigeria?
Yes,
Maybe
it's
somebody wants to get it in Lagos. someone in
It,
Ibadan anyway.
yes, it can be delivered in
Uh,
Lagos anywhere, and it sells for just 1,000 naira. And also, we are working on the e-copy, which should be available very soon, so that anybody can just buy and download and read on their gadgets.
I would like to get my own copy too. Hard copy. I would like to get mine.
No, no
And I
problem.
want anybody watching this video to get theirs too. We will sing water. So, sir, how were you able to deal with fear? I know that sometimes you want to write something like, ah, I'm afraid if I post this now, people will come, they will start criticizing my work. How are you able to deal with criticism? I know that people will come, like, this thing is not correct, change this thing, do this, do that. You know, there's way you feel when somebody says something bad about your work. How do you feel? How were you able to overcome those stuff?
Yeah. Um, I think it's about being open-minded. You know, for me, I grew up in my literary journey in a space where we have an organization called AG House of Poetry, where till date, if I want critical views on my work, I send it to the AG House of Poetry group. So we all grew up learning how to appreciate criticism on our work. So I think it's when you're open-minded, you tend to lose that fear, because the whole idea for you is to get better. So whatever comments the person is saying, the ones that are good, the ones that will make your work better, I mean, you pick it. Then the ones that don't apply, you discard them. So being open-minded helps a lot in being able to embrace criticism.
All right, because this is one of the things that makes some writers commit suicide. Some writers committed suicide for the past years because of criticism. People will just say one bad thing. In fact, the worst part is when they will can learn that people send their work for magazines, for some magazines to publish their work. And when they get an email that will say, hey, your work is rejected. Before you know, the person will like, hey, so I'm not good like this, that. Before you know it, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, you hear that this writer don't die you because of one magazine rejected his or her work. So that's why the writer will go and just take his own or her own life. So when you posting your poems to or sending your poems to these magazines, where have your poem been rejected in any magazine before? Your poem when you were starting
Of
out.
When I was starting, I don't know, but I know that my poems, not just the poem, my poems have been rejected in different magazines, and it's not a big deal. But also, I don't think it is quite correct to say that poets commit suicide because their works are rejected or because of criticism on their work. I've seen people make that argument on Facebook, and I've tried to also add a word or two that no, depression, which finally leads to suicide, is a gradual process, um a mental exploration of trauma, that tends to take charge over the person's life. It could be fear, it could be childhood trauma, it could be different experiences. So I don't think it's ideal to say that because of rejection, people are committing suicide.
Now I understand what you're saying. Just like a rain gathering cloud from childhood, before you know one day the rain will fall. That day you don't take your life.
Exactly. Yeah. True. True.
Yo, wow. Thank you for that. It's true. I agree with you. I agree with you. You don't just start the first. That is not the first day. I've started somewhere for long. But that day, the day, just make final decision. But you know, somebody will just post, I'm tired, I'm depressed now. Something have caused it from childhood or somewhere. There must be an experience that must cause something. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So now, what is your advice for upcoming right? Okay, before I even go to that side, who can become a poet? Who can become a poet?
uh, I think it's a very easy and straightforward question. Anybody can become a poet. Any person willing to write poetry, any person willing to read, any person willing to develop themselves can be a poet. In fact, let's say technically everybody is a poet. Somebody who is in love says poetic things. Somebody who is sad say poetic things. In somebody who is extremely happy say some lines that when you write them down, they are poetry. Well, if the person is willing to be able to rework this expression, I mean, we are all up for it.
Now you said something about reading. When you were starting out, do you love reading? Was it not hard for you to read? Like, because I want to become a poem. What was that thing that gave you the passion to read book? I know you've read book. In fact, you be book.
Like I said, it's the whole experience with Daga. Daga is an avid reader, and I think one of the biggest book collectors in Nigeria. So I had access to book, and I've always been interested in developing myself. So reading comes for me naturally. And of course, you're in Lagos, so you know Lagos. There are some times that I'm going somewhere, there is a book in my bag, so that when I'm stuck in traffic, I just bring out the book, start reading, and eventually the noise fades out. I'm inside the book. So, and also studying English and literature also contributed to the reading habits and all of that.
Okay, thank you so much. So, what is your
Thank you.
advice for, should I call them upcoming writers? Yeah, what is advice for them? Somebody who wants to write, but like saying, this writing self is hard. People have been people have been saying bad things about people that are writers. So, what is advice for these people? They have
Well,
this
I
concept,
was
just they don't find clarity.
first to put it simply. We are all upcoming writers until the day we die, because as you're writing, you're improving, you're getting better, and all of that. But what I would say to those who are newly coming into the craft is to say, whatever it is, just don't give up. You just need to keep at it. There are sometimes you ask yourself, so what's the essence of all these things? It's not giving me money, it's not giving me fame and all of that, but those are not the most important things. The most important things are one, the satisfaction that you derive from the process. Two, the idea that you're a creator and you're creating something. So I believe those are the most crucial things, and always believe it gets better. And also reading can shape you completely. So just keep reading as much as you can, and be open-minded enough to be able to embrace criticism, because nobody knows it all. We all get better, and with that, you're good to go.
Oh wow, thank you so much. There's one thing I just picked from your point. We are all creators. You are creating something whenever you're trying to write something. That's what I picked
True.
from this point.
True.
We are creators, but until you see yourself as a creator, you will not become a writer. You will
Yeah.
never create anything.
True.
Mm. Thank you so much. So now
It's
that
okay.
you
Thank
are
you.
at this level now, do you still go for writing classes or training? Or some people say, okay, since
I
I've learned it, then I don't need to improve or something. I've mastered everything all already.
I've never been to a writing class, not because I've mastered it, but it's not really my thing. Yeah, it's not really my thing, but we are all learning. I mean, I'm at a bookstore right now. Books to Africa. It's a distribution store in Jos, where you can get a lot of books, and the good thing is, let me say, technically, you get the books more or less for free. And having to come here it's because of the development process. Let me come and pick books, so I'll be able to build myself and become better. So the writing classes I attend, for me, are the authors I read.
The authors that you read. Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Many don't know this, so God, still secret. Oh wow. Thank you so much, sir. All right, before we move to the
Okay,
final
thank you.
question, Before I move to the final question. Okay. All right. Okay. Are you with me, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. From now to 10 years, what do you want writing to have done for you? Or what do you want to build? What kind of empire do you want to build in writing industry?
Empire. That's a strong word. First, the thing is, the only thing I want writing to do for me is to make me a better person, more compassionate, more humane, and be able to relate with people more. And of course also contribute to growth of my immediate environment, and of course the extended environment, Nigeria, Africa, and all of that. So importantly, next say 10 years from now, I see myself probably having a standard theater. And when I say standard theater, I mean in terms of the structure, the building, where people can always come to do their performances, rehearse, sit out, read, and have those kind of discussions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Do you have any other books that are written that you like the viewers to know, apart from We Will Sing Water?
I have quite a number of them, of course, still unpublished, of course. So I have Epiphany, I have a Border of Unseen Insanity, I have The Middle Passage, I have a book on literary criticism, which I'm still researching on, The Burden of Grief. It's a research on the writing of fourth generation, or the people I tag the fourth generation Nigerian poets. So and hopefully by next year, I should bring out a book or two. Yeah, maybe one in literary criticism and one poetry.
Please, so publish it. We will be back. Publish it.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. Would you like your child to be a poet or a writer?
I wouldn't pick for them. My children can be anything that they deem fit, because I don't think it's ideal to impose on your children what they should do or what they should be. So of course, like my children, they'll be exposed to poetry, seeing their father doing what I will be doing, and all of that. So yes.
All right, because I know that there's no how nowhere your children must be exposed to poetry because when your house is library, you have books all over you, and they see you do. You see, I don't know who said it. Say your children will not do what you tell them to do. Your children will do what they see you do.
That's true.
So when they
That's
see you
true.
writing, really, they're like, "This is my daddy doing. He's writing really." Before you know, when you go out, they will be doing that thing. They might even go to your
Yeah.
store where you put books. They'll just carry on and start reading. As long as you've trained them
True.
to become a
True.
writer or become a reader. You might not train them to become a
Yeah.
writer, but you train them to become a reader. Before you know, they'll
Yeah.
start writing. Okay, so thank you so much for coming to
Thank
this
you.
show. And we've come
Thank you.
to an end to this show. But before you leave, what will be your last word for anybody who is starting up as a writer, who is just coming? How will I even say it? I've asked you this question before. But what will be your
Yes.
last word
Yes.
for anybody who is coming up, who just want to start? Maybe after they watch videos, like, okay, since they say I should be a creator, if until I become a creator, I won't be a writer. So now, what will be your last word for them?
Not my last word, since I'll still have something else to say. Probably write or something. But importantly, like I said earlier, read, and read. Yeah, and be open-minded enough.
Read, 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 and read 5 times and be open-minded. Hmm. Thank you so much, Sir
Thank you.
Ocho. So when are you coming to Lagos? You've been long there. I'll be at DK Chukwu Merije show at where is that? Ikorodu with Sariata this
Uh,
month ending. And you'll
because
not be
of
there.
because Because of insecurity in Nigeria now, I don't think it's something we'll say publicly, but I'll be in Lagos soonest.
All right, I will
Okay.
see you inside. Thank you so much for coming
It's
to
okay.
this show.
Well done. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir,
Thank you.
and goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've come to an end of this show. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video, like, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Next week, Friday, I'm having Sagrisino Inwirim. Is the author of Spoken Words, 101 Spoken Words. I can't actually remember the name of the book. I think it's Spoken Word 101. Gracinio Inwirim on Friday here by 12 p.m. We'll be hosting him here live. He will come to share his story, how he found poetry, writing. I'll ask him a whole lot of questions. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel so that people will get to see this video. I want to bring more writers. I want to take the black writers to the world. Let us go global. This is time for us to dominate global. All right. Thank you and goodbye. I love you.